when you're ready. Silent auction. Afternoon tea for 4 goes to Catherine Lee. Thank you very much, Catherine. Dinner for 4 at the Dropping Well. I hope Linda Fagan's going to invite me because Linda Fagan has bought it. Voucher for Pablo's new restaurant at St. Stephen's Green goes to Rona Wright. Painting Dolman by Moonlight goes to Geraldine Ellis. Special edition of the wireless headphones goes to Michael and Colette. Grand. How romantic is that? You can borrow Dolman by Moonlight and Dance Under the Moonlight for Michael and Colette. 4 tickets for Whitney Houston show at the Olympia goes to Karen Crowley. Karen, well done. Whitney Houston fan. Greg will be delighted. Painting pool bag goes to David German. Well done, David. Thank you. And we have sold one of the prints, A Matter of Time. There's one print left if anyone would like to take it, and that goes to Margaret and Jim in front row. Thank you very much. Tranquility goes to Karen Smith. The Brown Thomas voucher goes to Philip Dilworth. The jewellery, yes, keep clapping, yes. The jewellery to Andrew Keogh. Sunflower, the painting to Aishling Burke. And the Prosecco and the glass of wine is going to someone in our office, so we'll be having a few jars tomorrow. Nolan Allen. And Jesus, the whiskey goes to Billy Redmond. We're really onto a hot one here. So, thank you very much. I haven't added it up, but I know that it is somewhere around the 1,500 to 1,600 mark. So well done. Thank you very much. To each and every one of you who are here that brought along an auction item, well done. Now for the quickest raffle in the world, okay? We want 3 or 4 hunks, and I can say 3 or 4 people to help with the giving out of the raffle prizes. So Dave is coming, Sarah, you too. Anyone else? Any takers? Available enough? Okay. Now, as I'm colourblind, you're going to be in for great fun here. Pink. We're starting with pink. And we're ready with the raffle prizes to go out. 491. 491 pink. Well done. Second row. 491 pink. We're calling this white, which is AS7Y on the AS7Y white. 546. 546 white. Five, 4, 6 white. You take this now. Green 996. Green 996. Okay, up this side here. White with AB on the serial number 571. It's kind of an off-white. 571. AB on the top. AB on the top. 571. Sorry for the confusion. AB on the top. 571. You have to start on a little bit. Yes, there. Sorry, Dave, just on the left. Green 571 again. Green 571. Green 571. Keep it going. White with AS7Y on it. 966. White 966. Up the back. White with AB on the top. 336. White with AB on the top. Reference. 336. Yellow 767. Yellow 767. In the front row, Margaret there. Very good. It's whitey blue with AB on the top. 901. AB 901. 901. There you go. Up here to the right. White, AB on the top, 721. 721. AB on the top, white. Any takers? Yellow, 761. Yellow, 761. Yellow, 761. In the front of Ken Margaret. We try that one again. AB 721. AB on the top 721. Any takers? White. It's white and blue. Okay. My eyesight. That's blue. Well, tell me blue when I say that's blue. Blue 726. Blue 726. Well done, James. Green 911. Green 911. Green 911. Up the middle there at the back. Green 911. Up to the left. Pink 590. Pink 590. Pink 590. Pink 590. Yellow 751. Yellow 751 up the back. Pink 586. Pink 586. Any takers? Martin cutting in the middle there. Bottle. Green 276 in the middle. Martin, hold the hand up there. Yeah. Green 276. Green 276. Yeah, great. Pink 361. Keep it going. Green 361. Pink 361. Up the back there. Green 361. Sorry, pink 361. Yellow 731. Yellow 731. Up the back. Green 551. We're nearly there. Green 551. Green 551. Any takers? I know it's very quick. Green 551. Any takers? No. Yellow 4. Green 551. Well done, Esther. Okay. Yellow 426. Yellow 426. White 576. Terrible to be colorblind. White 576. Well done. David, you got that? Yeah. White. 536. White. Yeah, up there. David, ready? Yellow 576. That gentleman there. Pink 681. Pink 681. We're nearly there, are we? Pink 681. Hold on. Green 531. Green 531. Green 531. Nice prize there. Someone's missing. Green 531. Any chance? No. Okay. White 516. White 516. Is it on quiet on me? Martin, tell you up there. Middle row, back. Pink 716. Pink 716. Pink 716. The lady over there. Pink 716. Green 566. Green 566. We're nearly there, folks. Green 566. Green 566. Green 566. Oh. Green 566. Well done. Green, blue, 831.
Fix.
White, 371. White, 371. I got near. Oh, well done, Jim. Yellow. Sure, you know, we're not. Yellow, 711. Yellow, 711. Yellow, 711. Very good. White, 736. What? Code AS7Y. Well done. Well done. Green. No, that's green, yeah. 471. Yeah, 471 green. Up the back. Michael, that's for your new kitchen. It's your new kitchen. 3 more, and the final prize here is a hamper, so watch out for the final tickets. 3 to go. Pink, 306. Pink, 306. Margaret, we're going to a party in your house next week here. Margaret, front row. Green, 9. Is this the final one? No. Second half. Green, 976. Green, 976. There's only one colour green. 976. AB. 976. Going. Going. Pink. Oh. 976. On the last one. Last one, which is an hamper of goodies. Everyone still look at their pink ticket for this, and we won't be putting it into the orders. We leave it at the back here. Okay? Pink, are you ready? 616. Oh, holy God. Well done. Well done. Sure. Goes on at one though. Leave that down here, Craig, until. Yeah. Again, thank you for everything. We're going to go back now. We have 4 speeches in the second half. Like that? I'm not used to speaking the word. Anyway, as Paul said, we have 4 speeches there in the second half. You've seen these 4 speakers before. Because they are some good speakers, they are all competition winners in toast. And when you see them speaking, you know why. Our first speaker is Aishling Keenan, with a speech entitled Flip It. Please welcome Aishling Keenan.
Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening. Now, you'll all be thrilled you came along here this evening. Why? Because after this evening, you will become beaming beacons of positivity and light. Doom and gloom will be eradicated from your psyche. Positive energy will filter into every fibre of your being. And you will leave here tonight better looking, smarter, happier. And some of you may be even sexier than you were at last year's Speaking for Hospice. For I have a dream, ladies and gentlemen, I have a dream. And my dream is to inspire you all with 2 simple words. Flip it. That's right, flip it. Let me hear you say it. Flip it. I can't hear you. Flip it. Not to be confused, of course, with flip off, which is an entirely different connotation altogether. Now, before I impart these pearls of perception, I'd like to pose a question. How many of you can recall a negative event more vividly than a positive one. And for all you Toastmasters out there, perhaps a speech that you went blank in, heaven forbid. Well, in my case, when I think about my childhood, I think about this object here. And actually, I can still envision my mother pirouetting towards the kitchen drawer where the ominous wooden spoon lurked, and the fear of God that instilled in me. But did I have a troubled childhood? Absolutely not. And this got me thinking, why is it that we tend to remember what went wrong more than what went right? Why does a negative experience leave a bigger imprint on the brain than a positive one? And how can we rectify this so we're not constantly beating ourselves up? Or perhaps we hear a cutting comment on someone's character, but it resonates. According to research by the US psychologist Baumeister, we tend to believe when someone criticises someone else that they're more intelligent than us. Hence, we can be more inclined to pass on that negative comment, and the cycle continues. Now, the reason for all this is quite simple, and it has to do with how the brain processes positive and negative information. They're processed completely differently in two different hemispheres. So a positive experience, that's not taxing on the brain at all to process. It's more or less filed straight away, nice and handy into memory. Whereas a negative experience, this takes much longer to process, and it involves a huge amount of cognitive functioning. So our neurons are really put to work here. And because it takes so much longer to process, and is processed more thoroughly, then of course we are going to remember it clearer. And there's more. We also have evolution to blame for all of this. Flip it anyway. The brain has been trained, dating back to evolutionary times, to focus on negative events or threats in order to survive. Focusing on positive events would have meant that tomorrow would not have been just another day. So now we know the brain is conditioned, both physiologically and psychologically, to focus on the negative. So what are we going to do about it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, your mission, should you choose to accept, is to flip any negative, whether it be a thought, a word, or a deed, into a positive. So quite simply, flip a negative into a positive. So from tonight, until the end of the week, until the end of the month, until the end of the year, and for the rest of your lives, ladies and gentlemen, if you can rise to the challenge, flip it. What are you going to do? Let me hear this side of the room say it. This side of the room. The top table. Now, all joking aside, I really believe this is a fundamental tool that can be implemented to improve your life and the lives of others. For example, this is the first time I became aware of the flip it technique, credited to my friend Bernadette, who uses it as a tool, she tells me, in her daily battle with depression. So picture the scene, sitting around chatting with the ladies, when one of the girls pipes up that she happened to have shaken the hand of a well-known individual. But it was a really limp handshake. And yeah, we all hate that really limp handshake. And before we all knew it, we were all casting aspersions on this person, someone we'd never met, purely because of a limp handshake. Well, Bernadette jumped into action and she said, you know, when someone shakes your hand really hard, that can actually be quite sore on your fingers, which it can. Maybe this person was aware of that. Maybe you just caught him on a bad day. He might have even had a sore hand himself. But you see what she did? Immediately, she flipped a negative into a positive. I was in awe. And for me, it was like a real light bulb moment. And I thought, wow, what a wonderful blueprint for living. And it reminded me of that beautiful line from Yeats, tread softly, because you tread in my dreams. And well, I thought thought that too, but I also thought, aha, speaking for Hospice 2017, flip it, there's my speech. But, you know, if it works for Bernadette, it can work for you and I too. And it was something I consciously took away with me that day. It is something I try and implement. If I hear a disparaging comment being said about someone, I flip it and point out the fabulousness as opposed to the flaw. Now actually, us here Toastmasters, it's actually a very good example of flipping because we take something that we really don't like doing, such as public speaking, and we make it positive by viewing it as a speaking opportunity, a chance to improve. Albert Einstein once said, "In the midst of difficulty lies opportunity." Who knew? Even old Bertie himself was partial to a bit of flipping. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I could stand here all evening and recall famous Hollywood stars who have flipped it in one way or another, but I don't want to do that. Oh no, I want you to turn to the person beside you now for inspiration. That's right, turn now. Turn and behold this beaming beacon of positivity and light. Note how the doom and gloom has been eradicated from their psyche. Can't you almost hear that gush of positive energy gushing forth into every fibre of their being? And is it just me, or are you all now suddenly better looking? Definitely smarter. Sexier? Maybe a few of you up there at the back. Ladies and gentlemen, I throw down the gauntlet to go forth and flip it. What are you going to do? Flip it. That's it. Find the fabulousness, not the flaw. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is a man well known to us over the years. And the terrible thing about it is when we think about Michael Kavanagh, well, certainly when I think about Michael Kavanagh, I think about his short trousers. And going into clearly to get his long trousers. And he still has his long trousers for years. Thank God he didn't have to change back into the shorts. With the speech tonight entitled, "Keep Your Options Open." And Greg stops thinking it. He likes playing with hair just with no one. With a speech entitled, "Keep Your Options Open," please welcome
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been out somewhere and something happens and you say to yourself, this looks familiar, this sounds familiar, this happened before? And you rack your brains trying to remember where and when it happened before. And eventually you realize that in reality it didn't happen before. It only happened in your dreams. Well, a number of years ago, when I was in my 20s, I had an experience like that. Myself and 3 friends were out for a meal in a well-known restaurant in the Stevens Green area. And about 3/4 way into the meal, there was a commotion at the next table. And this woman was standing up and she was saying, "Where's my purse? I can't find my purse. Somebody has stolen my purse." And when I heard this, I said, this is very familiar. This happened before. And eventually I realized that it only happened in my dreams. And what happened in my dream was that I was out for a meal in a restaurant with 3 friends. And a woman did stand up and say, "Where's my purse? I can't find my purse. Somebody has stolen my purse." And the manager came over. And after a short time, one of our friends said that she was playing a practical joke on her and that she had hid her purse in the flower pot that was beside the table. And in the restaurant that night, there was a flower pot in the table. But the woman in the restaurant was much different to the woman in my dream. She was much more aggressive, much more loud, much more hostile. And she was saying, "Where's my purse? I can't find my purse. Somebody has stolen my purse. What type of establishment is this?" The owner was trying to calm her down. And she said, "I won't calm down." The next thing is she turns and she points at me. And she says, "Him," she says. He stole my purse. She said, when I was going downstairs to the bathroom, he bumped into me, and he must have taken my purse out of my bag at that stage. I knew by the tone and intensity of her voice that I had to fight fire with fire. And I said, hold on there. Who the hell do you think you are coming in here, getting up on your high horse and rearing up on me? And don't think you do the fish wife with me. You withdraw that comment. She kept it up. She said, I'm not leaving here, she says, till the guardian called for him. The owner came out. He said, sir, would you mind stepping outside? I said, I'm not going anywhere. I never saw her or her purse before. At this stage, all the other patrons in the restaurant had stopped eating and stopped talking. The staff had stopped saying. Even the chef was at the kitchen. The manager comes over to me again and he says, sir, he says, can you please step outside? At this stage, I'm fuming, I'm steaming. Look, I said, I don't have our purse. Our purse is in the flower pot. The words were only out of my mouth. And I could see everybody staring at me. And they all had the same expression on their face. How does he know the purse is in there? They found the purse in the flower pot and the guard were called. I was brought down to a back office and the guard was asking me questions. How do you know, he says, that the purse was in the flower pot? Oh, I said, guard, you won't believe this. But a number of months ago I had a dream, and this was in my dream. I see, yeah. And did you have a drink at all tonight, she said. I was still annoyed, but I was very precise. I said, look, myself and 3 friends, we met at Nearly's pub at Chatham Street. Each of us bought a round of drinks. So I had 4 pints of Guinness there. We came up here at 9 o'clock for the meal. The hostess said that we were running late. We'd like to wait down at the bar. I had 2 whiskies down there. Came up for the meal. One of the lads was celebrating a promotion he got, so he bought champagne and 2 glasses of champagne. And when all this rumpus happened, we were on our 4th bottle of wine. The guard says to me, no, says he, let me see if I have this right. He had 4 pints of Guinness, 2 whiskies, 2 glasses of champagne, and a bottle of wine. But let me tell you this for goodness sake. When the judge hears this story, he's not going to be impressed. The night was ruined, I went home. Next morning, one of my friends was at the meal line. He was a friend of the owner. He said, the owner will be down there, he said, at 2 o'clock. The restaurant doesn't open on Sundays. But he has CCTV cameras, and he'd go through them. Went down and met the owner. The man was late 30s. You could see he was physically fit, mentally alert, a man of action. His whole demeanour said, you have a problem, you solve the problem. There was no mugging around with this problem. He showed me all the CCTV cameras back. He says, I have to have them. He says, staff are pilfering, customers going out without paying, other customers putting in false claims for injuries they don't have. He said, what time do you arrive at? I said, 9 o'clock. He keys up the camera, you see myself and 3 friends coming down. I point out to him where I was sitting, where the woman was sitting, and where the flower pot was. And between all the cameras, those areas were covered. He rolls it on, and you see the woman getting up and going down to the bathroom. And all the time she's down there, she comes back, I'm sitting at the table. That's strike number 1 from me. He said, what time did this incident happen? Oh, sorry, about 10:30. Keys it up, 10 past 10, quarter past 10, 20 past 10. You see one of our friends bending down, taking the purse out of the bag, leaning over and putting it in the flower pot. That was strike number 2 for me. And just then, the phone rang. It was the woman from the previous night. And the owner said to her, hold on, he said, I have the other man here, I'll put you on speaker. She comes on speaker, she's all apologies. Says, it was an awful mistake last night. One of our friends had played a joke on her and had put the purse in the flower pot. But as things got so heated up and so serious, she was afraid to talk up. That was strike number 3 for me. I looked at the owner and I knew what he was thinking. He didn't know if I was going to put a claim in against the restaurant. So he didn't want any bad publicity. So he said to the woman, "I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll arrange a meal for you and your friends, and Michael and his friends for next Saturday night." Next Saturday comes around, and as it happened, it was February the 14th, Valentine's Day. And as I'm getting ready to go down to the restaurant, I did something I never did before. I read my horoscope in the newspaper. And it said, "After a turn of unusual events, romance will be in the air." Went down and we all met up, we were all introduced. And she was looking very well, she was very pleasant, she had a nice smile. She was very smartly dressed. She had a two-piece navy suit, a white shirt, and complimented navy bag and shoes. And we all sat down. And then I seemed to hit top form. I was the man about town. I had an opinion on this, opinion on that. I had an opinion on everything. I was coming out with witty remarks here and witty remarks there, and I had them all laughing. I was flying. At one stage I went down to the bathroom, and I'm down in the bathroom and I standing in front of the mirror. I'm practicing my smile, rehearsing my lines. And I heard the music coming over the top. And as I was so buzzed up, I started to sing along. "Oh, love is in the air, everywhere I look around. Love is in the air, with every sight and every sound." I didn't realise that was something in one of the cubics. And when I was finished, he gave me a round of applause. Came back up, and I continued on where I left off. It's been real suave, sophisticated, debonair, full of charm. I was laying the charm on for a throw. When I was sitting there and I'm looking into her eyes, the only problem was she wasn't looking into my eyes. She was looking into my friend's eyes, and they'd made arrangements to see each other the following week. So obviously I was disappointed. And they say that in life, if you have a disappointment, it's always good to sleep on it. And that's very good. But the next morning I woke up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And I recalled something that my grandfather said to me when I was 17 years of age. He said, "Michael," he said, "you're now 17 years of age and you have girlfriends. Let me tell you the policy that I adopted at your age with girlfriends. So I always kept my options open. I was always thinking ahead. And I used to have a girlfriend over here, or I had another one on reserve over here. So if this fizzled out, I was automatically into another relationship." And then I remembered that one of our friends had made the original booking in the restaurant. So I knew that her phone number would be in the booking register down in the restaurant. I already knew her name, so I went down and the owner gave me her phone number. I rang her up and I asked her would she like to come out for a drink. And she said yes, she'd be delighted. So we met in Ernie's pub in Chatham Street. So Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, if you're all here this time next year, I will let you know how I got on.
Thank you very much, Roy. And I think with the man who sees people here often at the hospice before, he's a local Toastmasters like myself, and he has regaled us with stories of his love life. But I don't think we'll be hearing about his love life tonight. With the title of the speech, Mensa, how are you? Densa, more like it. Please welcome Ray Cotter.
Ladies and gentlemen, recently I registered to do a Mensa test in Trinity College, Dublin, to gauge my intelligence. The exam was on at 8 in the morning, so I got up at 5, had a cold shower to stimulate the brain, had a hot coffee to stimulate the brain. I arrived at the exam hall just in time to receive the test paper from the invigilator. As I sat down, I began to read the exam. Question 1. Name. Question 2. Address. Question 3. Date of birth. I said to myself, Einstein, you're on a roll. Question 4. Right or left-handed? being ambidextrous, I ticked both. Question 5. Sex, M or F? Well, being a heterosexual, ladies, I ticked M. I signed and dated the paper, stood up, walked over to the invigilator, and nonchalantly handed it to him. He looked at me whimsically and said, "Excuse me, sir, but where do you think you're going?" Confidently, I said, "Home." "But, sir, we have not commenced the test yet. If you would kindly retake your seat, we will begin. This is for administration purposes." Oh. As I sheepishly returned to my seat, some of my fellow Mensa wannabes started to laugh at me, a bit like my so-called Toastmaster friends. Then the invigilator said, "Ladies and gentlemen, your first test will be spatial intelligence." Now, I'll be honest with you folks, my spatial intelligence was rather limited until I visited Space Mountain in Orlando, Florida last year. From there on, it skyrocketed exponentially. I mean, some of my spatial heroes are Neil Armstrong, Yuri Gagarin, and Laika, woof woof, the dog. What a dog. And of course, the planets, I knew them intimately. Saturn, Sagittarius, Jupiter, Capricorn, Mars, Snickers, and of course everyone's funny one, Uranus. Ha ha ha! I even read a book about zero gravity. It was really hard to put down. Nonetheless, I felt confident in my ability that I could tackle any of the questions that came up on the paper. When the invigilator handed out the test, I noticed there were circles and squares and triangles. I said to myself, what kind of spacer compiled this? Immediately I summoned the invigilator. "Oh, excuse me, but I think there's been some kind of mistake." I beg your pardon? As Karen Carpenter would say, where are the interplanetary, extraordinary questions on the blinking paper? Sir, spatial intelligence is the ability to draw accurate conclusions from a three-dimensional environment. Do you have a problem? Yes. I didn't bring my crayons to colour in the diagrams. Mensa, how are you? Densa, more like it. The second test was verbal intelligence. Now, I don't have to tell any Toastmaster in this room that that's what we're about, words, ladies and gentlemen. It's our ABCs, our 1, 2, 3s, our do-re-mis. Question 1. Put the following sentences in the correct sequence. A. Fresh fish fried. B. Fried fresh fish. C. Fish fresh fried. Oh, that was a toughie. So I ticked all 3, to be sure. The second question was just as difficult as the first, so I pushed the test aside. Mensa, how are you? Densa, more like you. The third test was spiritual intelligence. Now, I refuse to answer any of those questions, ladies and gentlemen, because I believe in one firm truth, that God made the world in 6 days, and on the 7th, he made Donald Trump just to annoy us. And I say that not in a braggadocious way. The final test was logic. Now, in my opinion, logic is logical. For example, if A plus B equals C, therefore A equals C minus B. Logic. Question 1. If a man enters a jungle and 3 weeks later his corpse is found there, how did the man die? A. Killed by wild animal or reptile. B. Got lost and died disorientated. Or C. Died of thirst and malnutrition. Question. Why would a man enter a jungle in the first place? A. Without a gun. It's very dangerous in jungles. There's lions and tigers and elephants that could kill you. B. Without a phone or a sat-nav. Have you been to a jungle lately? There's no gardeners cutting the grass and chopping down trees. It's a jungle. and see without a bottle of water or a sandwich. There's no local spar selling hot chicken demi-baguettes with lashings of coleslaw and a bottle of Coke for a fiver. Why? Because there's no passing trade. I refuse to answer any more of those idiotic questions and threw the test aside. Mensa, how are you? Densa, more likely. So, how did I do on the test? Who cares? Because, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter what tests you've passed, what qualifications you have, or what letters you have after your name. The most important test you have to face and cope are maybe finding a car parking space in that downtown jungle called Dublin City, or catching a fresh fish and frying it on a pan. And where will you all learn this? In that third level institute on a daily basis called the University of Life. Mensa, how are you? Common sense, more likely. Anyway.
Is well known to the familiar faces here in the hospice. He's regaled us over the years with his deadpan sense of humour, and I'm sure you do the same again tonight. We would please welcome with a speech entitled "I Haven't a Stitch." Keenan Blair.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a bit concerned this evening. I see this is going out on YouTube. My wife doesn't know what I've been saying about her over the years. So I have my notes here in case I need to use them because I want to be very precise about what I'm saying. Last Thursday, I was going through the kitchen. My wife Pat was sitting there with Juliet, a neighbour from 2 doors down. She's a consultant in anaesthetist in the Blackrock Clinic, very important. And I heard my wife say, I can't go to that ladies' lunch either in the Four Seasons. I haven't a stitch. I thought to myself, I haven't a stitch my eye. Our wardrobes are ram-jam full of clothes. I went out through the kitchen. I was hanging out the laundry. I normally do the laundry on a Thursday morning before I do my ironing. My wife is not only allergic to ironing, but she's allergic to washing powder as well. And for some reason, she didn't do domestic science at Muckras. If I hadn't known that before we got married, we probably wouldn't have been married. While I was out there, I decided I'm going to count how many clothes she has. I went back through the kitchen, up the stairs, to a room we call the master bedroom. I won't go into who's the master in the bedroom. I might keep that for next year's speech. I started to count the clothes on hangers, not any of the loose stuff in boxes or bags. 377 individual hanging items in the master bedroom, the guest bedroom, and leaking into the spare bedroom where I have 1 or 2 golf shirts. A ridiculous amount of clothes for any person. Then I started to think about her jackets, her coats, her scarves. But I have a blood pressure problem, so I stopped thinking about it. I suddenly then thought about her bags and shoes, and that's a heart attack area. My daughter came by a few hours later, and I said to her, Jenny, I said, have you any idea how many clothes your mother has? She says, well, to be fair, Dad, Mum doesn't have a lot of clothes, and she hates shopping. A daughter's loyalty is a wonderful thing, I thought to myself. By the way, Dad, she says, I'm going to a party at the weekend. Is there any chance I could touch you for €100? I don't have a stitch either. I did a quick calculation of the value of her clothes, not including the bags, the shoes, all that stuff, just the clothes. And I had to do it one time for insurance purposes. Just over €15,000. And I decided this is a ridiculous amount of an investment. You can buy a new stainless steel sink for about €463. I decided to raise the subject over dinner. But then I thought better of it. My wife, Pat, although she's not good at domestic science, she does have a master's degree in business studies. And she would certainly come to some simple conclusion like, well, 15,000 is, what's that, less than €1 a day over the 45 years we're married? Do you not think I'm worth it? I can assure you there is no answer to that question. Then my mind turned to problems that men have with women. And I thought it was an all-male audience tonight, that I wouldn't have raised this subject. But we'll just have to go forward because it's in my notes. One of the great difficulties with my wife is she doesn't understand simple things like the amount of clothes that she has. So she thinks her wardrobes are full. But in fact, I would say every 2 or 3 weeks, I find 2 black bags outside the door, clothes on the way out. In theory, the less well off. But in practice, as you know, ladies, to make room for new clothes coming in. Nobody really cares about those people in Africa. The problem I have with my wife is to answer questions. How do I look, darling? Will this do? Or is this okay? There's no answer a man can give that won't be misunderstood or misinterpreted. No. It's 15 years old. I got it in Berlitz, don't you remember, behind the small delicatessen? Quite frankly, I hardly remember being in Berlitz. No, it's not too short for a woman of my age. It's the fashion. And I have very good legs, and I should show them off. I said nothing. No, I'm talking about my lipstick. I'm having my hair done tomorrow. Do you never listen to me? I definitely didn't answer that question. The more I thought about how do men deal with questions, I came to the conclusion that the best way is not to answer any question. So I now have adopted a policy of trying to let a space develop after a question. Now, one of the difficulties, and it was mentioned earlier here in the speech, is about ladies' and men's brains, that they don't like a long space. And if you give them a second, they're likely to answer their own question. And then you can say, I was just about to say that. It's a total lie, but it works 80 to 90% of the time. If it doesn't work, you have to use the great Irish expression, it's grand. It doesn't mean anything, but it seems to get us out of all major holes. Now, those gentlemen who are here this evening and want to study this a little bit more, there's a favourite book here by Alan and Barbara Pease about why men don't listen and women don't read maps. And it explains the blue and gold shoes strategy, which deals directly with this problem. So imagine Noel, your wife, lover, partner, whatever, comes down holding the blue shoes and the gold shoes and says, what do you think, Noel? The answer to that question is, well, what were you thinking about, the blue or the gold? And she might say, the gold. Immediately you hit her with another question, why the gold? And she's likely to say something like, well, do you remember the dress I bought in Barcelona 5 years ago with a little thread of gold through the jacket? You have no idea you were in Barcelona, let alone about the jacket and the little thread of gold. Says, I thought I would wear that with the gold earrings. And you say, good choice, you look fabulous in that. Game, set, and match, guys. That's the strategy. It's in the book. If this is an area that worries you, get the book. It deals a lot with it. I'd like to move on briefly, if I could, just to women and buying clothes, and men. Actually, women enjoy shopping. Men don't do shopping, they do buying.
Women can go out, spend 2 or 3 hours rambling around, looking at stuff, feeling, checking, discussing with other ladies, and come home with nothing and had quite a satisfactory morning. A man's brain does 18 minutes, according to Scientific American studies. We go out when we need something, we go into a shop that sells it, we buy it, we take it home, we wear it. So men and women have completely different attitudes. I'd just like to discuss sizing for a moment. I know it's difficult for you ladies to see it, but I actually weigh 80 kilos. Ideally, I should weigh 76 kilos if my BMI was perfect, but it's not. It's just a little bit on the outside there. I take a 16.5-inch collar, 8.5-inch shoes, a 34 around the waist. I'd like to be 32, and 31, if you don't mind the expression, on my inside leg. But with these 5 basic dimensions, I can go into any store in the whole of the world and I can get clothes that fit me. I can put them on and I can wear them. Is that the same way for ladies? Not a hope in hell. The sizing in America, in the UK, in Ireland, in Europe, and Far Asia are all different. The number of a typical dress in the States might be 8 to 10. My wife takes an 8 in Brooks Brothers. Well, she takes an 8 or a 10, depending whether it's a silk blouse or a cashmere top. It's never anything cheap, I can assure you, but you probably gathered that early on. She takes a 42 in Europe. Then she has funny names like, I can't even remember, Van Furstenberg. I think she takes an N4. So there is no comparison at all. And one of the difficulties for ladies' clothes, and I'm sure some of you will be familiar with it, is that the label they put on it isn't necessarily the size that the dress is. Ladies like to think that they can fit into one size smaller than they really are. So the retailers and the manufacturers have copped on to that. And when you are putting on a size 10 dress, it probably says 8, and you feel fantastic about yourself. You feel you've lost thing, and you think this style suits you very well. They're just actually being lying to you. I was speaking there to one of our ladies here this evening, Margaret Jordan. Where are you? There you are, Margaret. And I said to Margaret, can you give me this? I told her this would be in total confidence. And I said to Margaret, just as a matter of interest, I've been checking dress sizes, and I said, what's your size? And a new dimension was brought into this. I hope you don't mind me mentioning Margaret, but she's 14 on top and 12 down below. Now, I'm not too sure whether her real sizes are 16 on top and 14 down below, but I didn't have a measuring tape with me, so I did, but then I'm a terrible liar. But so the reason that there's such a difference between men and women goes from prehistoric days. When men were sent out hunting, they went out, killed an animal, brought it home, barbecued it, and everybody ate it. The ladies, on the other hand, of course, spent the day out going to the woods and the forest looking for fruit, nuts, berries to bring home. They spent the day out there socializing. And they now adopt that approach to shopping. And you can see them anytime you like down in the Dundrum Shopping Centre, large groups of them moving around, looking, feeling, testing. It's crazy stuff. Men don't do that. Now, my wife asks me maybe 3 times a year if I'll go shopping with her. It's a big question. I always say yes. We got married for better or for worse. And this going shopping with her is the for worse bit. I take 3 things with me. I take my book, the big book. I take my MasterCard, totally essential. And I take my happy smile. The worst shopping I had experience I had with my wife was when she was 60, and that's in total confidence. When she got a present from me of a large amount of money and a personal shopper in Brown Thomas's. She spent £1,200 on Friday. Over 5 hours with this personal shopper. I had 5 cups of Colombian coffee. I brought all of those clothes back on Monday. None of them fitted in exactly to what she wanted. This jacket, ladies and gentlemen, I bought that morning in 7 minutes. I absolutely love it. I don't have a stitch, but I have more clothes than I'll ever wear, ladies and gentlemen.
We've had wonderful speakers tonight, and I'd like to thank every single one of them for all of their time and their effort that they've given to Hospice tonight. Well, thank you all for turning up tonight. I've had a great night. I hope you'll have it there, and I'll see you again next week. Good night.
One more? No?